What's up, y'all? Alvin here, and I'm not going fishing today. I'm not going fishing tomorrow either, but I'm going out to the river today. Why? You're gonna find out why. I tell the good jokes. Much better. All right, so why am I going to the river when I'm not guiding tomorrow or the next day or probably the day after that either? And the reason is because it's my job. Bonner, one of our other guides, is doing a trip tomorrow, and he lives about 45 minutes away. We got some rain yesterday, and I told him that I would go and take a look at the river so that he and his client can make a decision on where to go. So yeah, I'm gonna go check out this river over here. It's close to my house, and then Bonner's gonna go check out the river that's close to his house. That way he will be able to make the best choice as to where to go for his trip tomorrow. Like I said, we got some rain, and these Central Texas rivers are notorious for flooding, of course. But even if we don't get completely blown out, the fishing is definitely better when we have the clearest water we can get. So that's what I'm going to go check. And it's not just because Bonner works for All Water Guides that I'm doing this. I mean, we get calls from other guides that don't work with us. We call other guides that don't work with us. And, you know, that's one of the nice things about the local fly fishing community. It's pretty friendly. You know, we tend to work together. You know, some of the guides that don't officially work for All Water Guides will help us when we have like group trips, or, you know, we'll help some of the other guides out if they need, you know, some coverage on a trip, a larger trip, or a trip where, you know, somebody's already booked. And that's, I really like that. It hasn't always been that way. Well, actually, it has been that way more often than not. We've had a few periods in time where there was guide drama, and I know there are other places where there's still guide drama, but that's one of the cool things about our group is we really kind of try to steer clear of the guide drama. You know, everybody that works for All Water Guides is on the same team, and whatever we can do to help each other out is, you know, is what we do, you know. So there have been times where, you know, somebody's boat broke down, you know, and they had to borrow a boat, or I've even gotten stranded on the river once when my boat died, and I was able to call one of the other guides, and, you know, he of course finished his trip with his clients first, but then he came and rescued me. I've had, you know, my clients be shuttled back to the ramp when my boat was dead, and, you know, then the guide comes back and picks me up later. You know, people who have had, some of the guides have had their vehicles not work, you know, and we've let people borrow our trucks so that they can do trips. I mean, you know, it's really kind of like a good community, and people are really willing to do just about anything they can for you. You know, when my wife died almost 2 years ago, the guides and the whole guides and the fly fishing community were just really, really awesome. You know, I say sometimes it kind of restored my faith in humanity. You know, people just really showed up for us, and I'm just really grateful. I feel really lucky to have a community of people like this surrounding me. And so that's why we do things like this for each other. And it really really, it's like these guided trips we do, our jobs, our clients, all that. It's all kind of part of a whole big network, and I really like to look at it as more of, a social group, and not like social media, but this is actual social, person to person, in contact with each other, even though, I'm not going to see Bonner, but he called me, and he didn't even call me. I didn't talk to Bonner. He texted me. But the thing is I'm going out in the real world to do something for him that really there's no other way to accomplish this. Somebody has to drive out to the river, get out of their vehicle, walk over and look at the water and see what it looks like. I'm going to take pictures. I'll send those to him. He's going to probably send pictures to his client and say, here's what we're working with. And, his client is not just some dude who's paying him to go fishing. He's somebody that Bonner is really concerned about him having the best possible experience. And that's why we both are going to all the trouble of doing what we're doing today on our day off when we could be hanging out with our families. Bonner's got a family. I got my girls at the house. I just left and said, hey, I got to go take care of some business and I'll be back later. And they're like, all right, cool, Dad, because they know what's up. It's Sunday. It's their day off too. And, their dad's off doing something that I guess is work related, but really it's a lot more than that. So I could ramble on about this forever, but just let's go see what this river looks like. See what we got. So this is the ramp, if you want to call it that. And it's kind of got the old milky green color, which is not great, but milky green is definitely better than chocolate milk. So I don't know. I would fish it. Definitely. Well, I was gonna say I've caught fish in worse conditions, and that's true. I've caught fish in worse conditions, but if it was much worse than this, I would say maybe don't do it. But I'm gonna say by tomorrow should be a little bit clearer, and I think the chance of catching some fish is decent. I might even go fishing tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a half a thumbs up. All right, that took like maybe a little over an hour out of my Sunday, and that should help Bonner out, save him a couple of hours. So yeah, did my good deed for the day, helped my bro out, and now I'm gonna go back, hang out with my kiddos for the rest of the day. Hope y'all are having a good week.